Did we go live yet? Not yet. We are live.
Oh, God, we're live. What do you drink? Oh, coffee, no doubt.
Coffee with
Yeah.
a thing that says Mr. Cateo and the date we got married. I just got married, people.
Yeah, and it's got a screw cap. That is classy.
I am classy, yes. I like every time I put my hand in and I see the ring, I'm like, oh snap, look at that.
What have I done?
Oh, so this is the best. When we got married, the MC introduced us with her last name, which is her married name. So he introduced us as Mr. and Mrs. Michael Janvier, and that's her married name from her first marriage. I started laughing so hard, her family was cracking up.
Yeah, what interests me, Mike, is that you had an MC at your wedding. Did you have a feature act as well? Did somebody step in and do 30?
Exactly. We tried to get you, but you were raging the wildfires of the West Coast.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was mile and a quarter. That's how close it got.
That's incredible.
Yep. It's thank goodness for the brave wildfire firefighters and 375 National Guard troops trained in wildfire suppression came down from Portland. That's what saved the day.
Wow, that's crazy, man. How are you guys holding up? Everything good?
It is good. You know, it's the smoke was twice what it shows on the EPA meter. EPA meter only goes to 300 parts per million in the air quality. And 300 parts per million is hazardous. We were over 600 parts per million for a week.
Wow.
Yeah. But the good news is that counts as smoke damage, and State Farm's they're gonna take care of all the smoke damage. So.
You got Jake from State Farm.
Yeah. And he was wearing khakis, oddly enough.
Was he? That's my favorite bit, and it's not even mine.
Yeah. What are you wearing? Oh man, that's good writing.
I performed last night in person.
Outside, right?
Outside. Well, it was a covered tent in a strip club.
Only thing covered. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. It was crazy that, so they have it outside and they had heaters set up. So we were sitting next to a heater, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then it was just the crowd was so tight. I thought I was gonna bomb, and I actually did really well.
Oh, did you open or close?
No, yeah, I was in the. It was a tight crowd throughout, and some of the comics were people I respect. So they were just very tight. And I went up there very high energy and did some crowd work and acted goofy and had a lot of fun. It was the first show I did live in the pandemic since February or March. When did we go into quarantine? March?
March, yeah. My last gig was March 13. Pretty much shut down after that.
It was awesome. It was so much fun.
Well, and you've performed outside before. I mean, in your comedy career, you've performed in the street for homeless folks, as I recall.
Yes. That was, I killed, literally, I killed a guy. He didn't laugh.
How many comics on the show?
About 5 or 6. We each did 10 minutes. One, and I brought Jeanette with me. And I ended up getting in trouble because I'm the type of, after I perform and I have so much energy, I can't sit still, especially if it's a short set. You know how when you do headlining sets, you kind of ride the wave, and then usually your energy is spent after. But I did 10 minutes and I was up here. I was very high energy. So I got up, I left my phone on the table, and I walked around for 20 minutes, half an hour. I went outside. I didn't go near the strippers, but I forgot to take my phone. So I was in a little bit of trouble.
Still.
I left my new wife.
To walk around outside the strip club.
Yeah. At least I wasn't in the strip club.
That's true.
She said to me this morning, I really wanted to stay. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And you know, for my bachelor party, my cousins and my brother took me to a comedy show. Why would you take a comedian to a comedy show? I don't. And my cousin, and then we went to. I'm not a gambler, and the comedy show was on Monmouth Racetrack. So my cousin wanted to go inside and gamble. And he was like, this is like my bachelor party, a comedy show and gambling. I'm like, exactly.
Perfect.
He lost $1,200 in like 20 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's a bad I can't. I couldn't. Yeah. So that's like house payment and a half. I couldn't. One of my 10X clients is a recovering gambling addict. $1 million he ran through.
Wow.
Yeah, fascinating. There's all kinds of drug and alcohol treatment centers in the U.S. 3 gambling centers. 3.
What are the odds?
See, that's going in his 10X is how we've normalized gambling with it's in the language. Let's roll the dice. What are the odds? What's the over under? Dark horse. We're coming around the last turn. Point spread.
My brother loves gambling, and he was at a blackjack table, and I sat next to him, and I messed up his hand. He nearly punched me. He was so upset.
Yeah,
time.
Mike the Cooler.
Good times.
Hey, speaking of strip clubs, it's my favorite Jay Leno story. He was on the road doing stand-up, clubs and such. Got booked at a strip club in Memphis called the Mine Shaft. So he gets to the booth, where they buy the tickets, and the woman goes, it's $5 or $10. Leno goes, I'm the comic, so I'm not going to be paying, but I'm fascinated. What's the 5? What's the 10? Well, $5 gets you in. $10 gets you a miner's helmet with a flashlight on it. So he goes in the bar, and sure enough, it's pitch black dark, except for these guys with these miners' hats on, pointing the flashlight at the strippers. And they forced him to perform while the women were dancing. And he said he knew he had a great joke when all the helmets turned toward him and bounced up and down, and the flashlights turned back.
It was like a light show.
Yeah. You know what, Mike? You can do comedy anywhere. The question is, should you do comedy anywhere? No. We've all had that kind of thing happen.
This actually didn't feel, how outside shows feel like outside shows and inside feel. This didn't feel like an outside show because it was inside a tent. It was just outside.
Yeah, the problem with outside shows is exactly that. There's nothing overhead. So there's no way for the laughs to bounce.
Right.
It just goes up into the atmosphere. So they may be having a great time, but you have no idea.
It's funny, non-comics don't understand this, or non-performers, I should say. Performing outside is a bit worse than death, usually.
I'll give you my best one ever, or worst one ever. It was at the beach. They wanted me to perform outside on the deck overlooking the ocean, so the ocean's behind me. So I'm not the star attraction, the ocean is. And they were from Philadelphia, and the hockey team, is it Flyers? Flyers. Anyway, we're in the finals, Stanley Cup finals. So they put a television right next to me with the hockey game on. And they go, well, we're going to turn the sound down. I'm competing with the ocean and the Philadelphia hockey team in the Stanley Cup finals.
That you must have had a great chat.
Now, here's the flip side of that. I'm in Phoenix. Diamondbacks playing the Yankees. 7th game of the World Series. Big screen in the room, with the banquet hall where we are, and they got the ball game up on the screen. And the meeting planner figures, one team's gonna run away with it, and we'll just shut it down. Frank goes on. Score was 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. He comes over and goes, Frank, look, if I shut the TV down, they're gonna just go outside of the bar or back to their rooms and watch the game. So here's your paycheck. Enjoy the rest of the game. Best ever.
Nice.
And I got put back the next year because nobody heard anything I had to say. So it can work in your favor occasionally.
This was a bar show, non-paying gig. It was a lot of fun, and there was a new comic there who like brought his parents to the club. Oh, it was the best. So I get up there and like the MC, the host was talking to the comics, talking to the audience, and she pointed out the parents because they were up front and asked the mother if the father was good in bed.
Oh.
And she goes, he always has been. This poor kid living his dream and his worst nightmare at the same time.
Yeah, when I talk comedy, I said, look, here's the deal. Don't invite anybody you know, especially family, until you've done it 6-8 weeks, open mics, because people invite them for the first open mic. And if you tank, you're going to hear about that for every family reunion for the rest of your life. Right. So I wouldn't let my wife, Wendy, I think it was 6 weeks before I had her come see my show at the Comedy Store. Want to make sure it was, tight.
So we did it for my bachelor party. We saw Bill Burr and Jim Florentine.
Love Bill Burr.
I worked with, he's a nice guy. I've met him a few times. I worked a few shows with him in the past. Really sweet guy.
Yeah, and somebody introduced me to him, and I can't believe, as funny as he is, I didn't know he existed. So I went on YouTube. And here's the joke that hooked me on Bill Burr. So my mom says to me, how come you can't be more like your father? So I said to her, F you, I'm leaving. I'm in. Oh, dear God. Yeah. He's my, people always ask, who's your favorite comic? Bill Burr. On this side of the ocean, Atlantic, Jimmy Carr, Kerr, my favorite in England. Smart, funny, topical, filthy, baby-faced. You wouldn't think you could say those things, but he does.
Right. So, like, how has your stress level been? If I had to go through a fire where I thought I lost my house, it would be nuts.
Yeah, lost a house that you were in the middle of refinancing at 2.99, so you could pay off all your credit cards. I told you. I talked to the mortgage broker. I said, look, business etiquette question. If the title company we're signing the documents doesn't ask, do I have to tell them the house burned down? She goes, who's your insurance company? I said, State Farm. Don't tell them. State Farm will build it back. They'll never even know what happened. So, fortunately, although we were still level 3, level 1 is get ready, level 2 is get set, level 3 is fires right there, get out. We were still level 3. We physically could not drive to the house because they had roadblocks, and we're signing documents for the mortgage. And they didn't ask. They never asked. They knew exactly where the house was, and they didn't ask. So, and friends, a couple of friends of ours they had points with Hilton, so they bought us 2 weeks of the Home to Suites. It's a Hilton property downtown, so it's got a kitchenette. So life wasn't bad. We weren't living in the car.
I'm gonna turn my camera around and show you something. The audience. Do you see the Home 2 Suites out there?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yep.
It's a great hotel.
Yeah, the guy who photographed the wedding is a friend of mine who's doing a documentary on me. So he said, I'll give you free photographs. So I put him up in Home 2. I got to see what the room looks like. It was really nice.
Yeah, they got a washer and dryer free. They got free breakfast. It was, we weren't suffering. I mean, and Wendy, my wife, she drives 45 minutes to work from where we live. It was 11 minutes from the Home to Suite. So she actually stayed 2 minutes after I did because she wanted a short drive to work.
She's like, maybe we should move here, take the refinance money.
You know, she said that because we live out in the country and the fires could happen again. And so she goes, I wish we had the money to move downtown Eugene somewhere. Of course, we have 11 cats and 3 dogs. That's going to be a challenge. And I said to her, Mike, I said, I used to look up at the mountains with the trees all over them and think how beautiful it was. You know what I think now when I see those trees on top of that mountain? She goes, fuel. Yes, exactly.
It's scary. I'm glad we don't live in a fire or flood zone. Those are the worst.
177,000 acres. Fortunately, not ours. But otherwise, Mike, it's the pandemic and not doing live gigs and having to do it virtually. And still, starting in March, I got $600 a week from the feds till the end of July, and then this thing with FEMA money, another 6 weeks till September 5th, another $300 a week plus a couple $100 a week from Oregon, plus the EIDL, emergency something disaster loan, $25,000, 30-year loan, 3.75%. Payments are $122 a month that don't start for a year. And then the PPP, I got 2.5 months of what I normally make, pay wise, like 11,000 some odd dollars. And so, it's if you play your cards right. I got friends like, screw it, I've tried to reach the unemployment department, I give up. Don't give up.
You are raking it in. The pandemic made you a rich man.
You know what, Mike? Just between you and me and whoever's watching on Facebook, we actually have money in savings, and we don't normally have 6 or 8 months of what I bring home to dump into the budget every month. But I got 6-8 months of money in the bank for for my part of the budget. We have that savings and that much rainy day money, and all the we paid with a mortgage. We cashed out enough money to pay off all the credit cards. We have no debt except the house. Oh man, yeah, it's turning out actually pretty well.
There you go.
I mean, 250,000 people have died. I feel, that's not good, but yeah, I got friends who said that, I called the unemployment office a couple of times on hold forever, and I'm gonna give up. Don't give up. It's free money. Don't give up.
Yeah. It's over here, things have been crazy. Like getting married in a pandemic is nuts.
Yeah, there have been some stories online about people have big weddings planned in large venues with hundreds of people, and depending on where you are, some venues 50 people, some 20.
We went from like a wedding invite list of about 300 to 40 people at our wedding, 40 people at our wedding. We really put that shit down.
What about the reception? Do you have a reception?
We did. We had it at this restaurant in Staten Island, and they let a few people sit outside, a few people sit inside. So there were 8 people from the wedding who opted to sit outside, and the rest sat inside and danced. We danced and we had a lot of fun, and it was perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
So have you been married before?
Never.
How about your lovely wife?
She has. I have to take her ex-husband's last name now. Because that's how they announced us when we were coming in. Mr. Michael Jambier. I'm like, what?
Great name.
Last name?
Yeah, the woman that married us was our housekeeper forever when we were kids. My dad died young, so we had to have a full-time housekeeper so we wouldn't be latchkey kids. And she was a minister. And so thought we'd have her marry us. And she was not particularly literate, and she got my name right. My wife's maiden name is Davidson. She called her Wendy Dollison, so I married somebody named Wendy Dollison. Hopefully it doesn't say that on the marriage certificate. And we got married in the backyard at a family reunion in Raleigh, hometown. Nice. Charlie Goodnights. I knew the guy from the Y. He was the youth director at the YMCA when I was a kid. He owned Goodnights. And so he booked me over 4th of July weekend so that I get married that weekend because all the family was in town for the reunion. So nobody had to fly in special. We did it in the backyard there over the barbecue. and forgot the music, no boombox. Everybody hummed the wedding march. And Charles Maracola was the ring bearer, comic. Renee Sandoval, comic friend from California, was the best man. And there was something else about it. Oh, we did 3 shows that night.
Nice.
Yeah, the last show they brought me a cake and a bottle of champagne, and we got married on 4th of July. It's easy to remember, and the joke I wrote was, it's Independence Day, and I couldn't resist the irony. And the joke my wife wrote was, she got married on 4th of July because she wanted to be guaranteed fireworks on her wedding night. Yeah.
Oh, meet you with that one.
She's very funny. She's her mom's British, so she's half Brit. So she got that dry, kind of rapier. Doesn't say a lot, but when she does, it's like, what?
That's right. Oh, I cried the whole wedding.
What?
Like a little baby. Yeah. I was like, I thought, I won't cry. I'm not gonna cry. Like, as soon as I saw Jeanette come out and turn to come towards me, started bawling.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What's just emotional? Just an emotional moment, or?
Yeah, totally. I couldn't believe I was marrying this person. And I was so excited. I wanted to say a really crass joke, but it doesn't even feel like I'm still in love. So,
what was the joke, Mike?
Like, this is it forever.
Yeah, Playboy, same centerfold every month. Yeah, actually, I was crying at my first wedding, but it was because I knew I was making a huge mistake, didn't have the testicular fortitude to back out. It's so clear now, but back then, I just didn't, I didn't think anybody else ever loved me, so I went through with it.
Aw, Frankie.
Yeah, I said I do, and in my head, I heard, I'll try. You don't try marriage, you try grape nuts for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, and she was a wonderful woman. We just didn't belong together. 4 years, 11 months, 19 days.
Wow. I'm wearing the ring on my right hand because my left hand, we only had so long for the ceremony. I didn't want to waste all that time trying to get the ring on my finger.
Well, Mike, for somebody who's watching this, it doesn't know why you would have such trouble getting the ring on your left hand. Give him a thumbnail.
I have my left side doesn't work. I have left-sided paralysis, and my fingers are held together like an 80-year-old man who can't open them up.
Yeah, Bob Dole.
Analogy for that.
Yeah. So,
grip of death.
Yeah. So you're gonna wear it on your right hand from now forward.
Yes, I haven't taken it off since the wedding day.
Don't. Yeah, because if you take it off somewhere, it'll drop and then roll down a sewer grate, and then explain that to your wife. And that fell off, and sure it fell off.
I'll lose it. I would totally lose it. I forget. I can't find my glasses. The last time I remember having them was on the wedding day.
Oh, well, don't take the ring off. I've actually got my father's wedding ring that my mother gave us. It's got Dixie and Frank engraved in the, yeah. And I've got his watch. Yeah, he thought we were going to bury him with jewelry. He was wrong.
That shit's worth money.
Yeah. Yeah, and Wendy, the diamond that Wendy shouldn't wear because at work she's constantly, but it was my grandmother's wedding ring, diamond, and so we mounted it. But she didn't. Yeah, at work we're just cashier and she can't because it catches on all sorts of stuff. So at least that's what she tells me.
I don't blame you. I'm keeping this thing on till I die.
Attaboy. Yeah, I mean, I barely even notice it anymore.
It's like a handcuff for my finger.
Do what?
It's like a handcuff for my finger.
Yeah.
I was such a mess during the whole ceremony. Like when I was supposed to put the ring on her hand, I go, which finger does it go on? Which finger? I couldn't figure it out.
Comics. Where'd you guys meet?
At a social work conference,
Okay.
somewhere between 2004 and 2007. We don't remember exactly when we met.
Okay. So then how'd you get back together in that 3-year stretch?
We would see each other she's friends with my best friend from high school.
Oh, okay.
And so I would see her every year at a party, and then we would start talking. And like we always had a great connection, but we just thought we were great friends. And then one thing led to another, and the romance started, and bound chicka bound bound.
And you got, for those who don't know, you have an 8-year-old stepdaughter, I guess?
She's 7.
7.
Yeah. Jeanette has a daughter from her first marriage, and I'm raising her, and she's had a hard time adjusting to the fact that we're married. So.
Oh, really? Well, daughters and fathers. When my dad died, he was 40. And I think it was harder on my sister because, dads and daughters.
Yeah.
So I think she had a harder time adjusting than I did.
Yeah, it's hard. And like at the wedding, she said to me, so she was in a raunchy mood the whole time. And I go, come here, what's wrong? And she goes, I just wish my daddy was here.
Do you guys, she see him?
She saw him that night. Like he got her from her mother's and picked her up.
You guys get along?
Yeah. Everybody's polite and cordial. I like him. He's not a bad guy. He seems to like me, so we're good.
Who doesn't like you, Mike? Come on.
I know. You would think there'd be at least 5 people.
Well, besides your patients, clients.
Right.
Yeah, I get emails, text messages. Do you work with Mike on that podcast? And they want to know why you're the way you are. I don't know.
Really? Tell them I was dropped on my head as a baby.
Yeah. Oh no, you default to brain damage. By the way, if you're new to the podcast, that's Mike's fallback. That's his default always. It does something wrong, forgets to do, call me or whatever. Oh man, don't you know I dropped on my head as a kid? And Jeanette will tell you the same thing. He plays that brain damage card all the time.
She was asking me, so when I went away during the show last night after my set, I went to a tarot reader and they did my tarots, and she's asking me what they say, and like I don't remember, and I tell her bits and pieces. She's like, you're leaving things out. I'm like, I don't remember. She's like, oh, fine, it's the brain injury again. I'm like, no, actually, I would say it's the crack and the crystal meth that really affected my brain.
Yeah, there is that.
Yes.
And you got an email from the gentleman I was on his podcast yesterday, Dennis, I think his name is. He's not a sober coach, but a life coach for people recovering from substance abuse disorder. Right. I think you make a good guess because.
Yeah, I'm excited to have him on.
Yeah.
Like, it would be great.
Yep. Let's see. Let's ask you another question about comedy. So how did it feel being back on stage?
My God, it was amazing. Like the kid whose parents were there, after he performed, the guy, he came up to me, he's like, man, that was great. Do you have any advice? I'm like, do I have advice? No, I don't. And then I was like, I left after I was making it. I was very successful, and I got so anxious. I left comedy for a few years. Never leave. Always stick it out. Ride the wave. That's my advice.
Yeah, because you were riding the wave. I mean, it was going well.
it was like I had people, I had international people were sending me letters from Texas and the South. I live in New York. I lived in New York. Like people were sending me fan mail from other states. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, what if the guy drove 3 hours and then had to drive 3 hours home?
To see me, yeah, but 3 hours sounds better. Let's stick with that. By the end of this story, it'll be he drove for 7 days.
Yeah, to get from California and 7 days back.
Right, right.
Yeah. Well, so are you when the world returns to normal? Are you going to go back to clubs? You're going to,
Yeah, I'm gonna start trying to like book locally.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of outdoor shows actually happening. So I'm gonna try to see what I can do. And we'll see. The dad also came up to me and he goes, that narcolepsy joke had me cracking up. You want to hear it? You want to hear it, Frank?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. You guys are great. I'm loving this. Let me ask you this question. Let me tell you that I get narcolepsy and necrophilia confused all the time. All the time. Like the other day, I thought I was fucking this dead guy. Turned out he was only sleeping.
Mike, it's hysterical.
It's also very blue.
Yeah, but it's good writing. People ask me about blue material. I love good, well-written blue material. It's the guy Jimmy Carr in England, London. It's just really tight, topical. Not a syllable that doesn't belong, and it's filthy. What's his name? Passed away. Robert Schimmel. Didn't have a clean joke in his act, but everything was self-deprecating and written amazingly well. There was another guy and used to work at a comedy store, called it sophisticated smut because it was so well written, all the grammar's correct. People go, but Red Skelton, I hate to break it to you, Red's dead.
My favorite jokes are the ones where you have to think, but they're dirty, or they're off color, or
yeah.
Like, do you have any?
Yeah. Oh God. Oh Lord. I've got about 5 minutes of dirty material. What I would do is on Carnival you have to do 25 minutes dirty, plus 25 minutes clean. So I would take my clean 25 and just drop in dirty words. But the last 5 minutes was, jokes are, ideas with dirty jokes. They just come, pardon the expression, they just come to you. Yeah. I was walking across the deck going to the Lido one morning early. I hadn't even had coffee yet. And there's a kid coming toward me, must weigh 300 pounds, 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide. And he's got a tray just stacked with breakfast. I mean, pancakes and waffles, eggs, bacon, and one set of silverware. And I said to the audience, he's got a sweatshirt on. It says WWJD. I'm thinking, what would Jesus do? He'd have a fucking salad. It just, dirty jokes just come to me. Viagra. Don't break up with your girlfriend or wife after you've taken the blue pill, because it'll turn a knot hole into a why not hole like that. So I do have, but it's all relatively well written. It just pops into my dirty jokes. Just pop into my head. Clean jokes. I've spent days.
I have this joke that starts out like you don't expect the turn.
Yeah.
It's you ever see those bracelets for cancer awareness? Like the pink ones are for breast cancer,
Yeah.
The yellow ones are for ball cancer. I once saw someone wearing a rainbow colored bracelet. A rainbow colored bracelet. What's that for? Gay cancer? They stopped calling it that in 1982.
Oh my God, Mike, that's so good and so well written.
Right? Right.
I'll tell you something else comics like is really sort of hip jokes. Here's my favorite. There's a moth and he's depressed. And he stops in to see a podiatrist. And he tells him, look, lost my job, lost my home, wife left me, took the kids. And the podiatrist, foot doctor, says, man, I'm sorry about all that, but I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I'm a podiatrist. Why'd you stop in here? And the moth says, because your light was on. Yeah, it's a comics joke. Civilians stare at me. What?
It's a pun. I love puns. Oh.
Comedy bookers. Did we talk about this? Brad Greenberg and he used to book a bunch of comedy zones before he sold the company. Brad Greenberg and Tom Sobel also booked one-nighters, week-long gigs. Famous for double dipping. The comics pay a commission, the bar pays a commission. Anyway, Tom Sobel and Brad Greenberg are walking down the street, see a gorgeous woman. That's a gorgeous woman. And Greenberg says to Sobel, man, I'd like to screw her. And Sobel says, yeah, out of what? Comics jokes.
Exactly. I'm not going to, I'll tell you this one when we're not online, but I have some jokes that I can't repeat to real audiences, but comics love them.
Oh, yeah. I tell people sometimes jokes occur to you, and there's no way you can do them anywhere. But you got to call somebody. Go, man, I can't do this anyway. I got to tell you this joke. And occasionally I'll give it away. Somebody, whose act it fits. They're not a particularly clean act. It's going to fit right in. Nobody will notice it wasn't theirs. Because some are just too good not to be done.
Exactly.
Supposedly, the space shuttle explosion, supposedly Leno wrote the joke. What were Kristen McCullough's last words? What's this button for? But there's no way he's ever going to do that on stage. I bet he gave it away.
I remember I must have been like 5 to 7 when the space shuttle exploded. And I remember hearing this joke. What kind of shampoo does the air shuttle passengers use?
Yeah.
Head and Shoulders.
God. Yeah.
But like that's the gist of the joke. It was funnier when. Yeah.
And there was a show on Comedy Central for a little while called Too Soon with Jeselnik.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was like that. It was things that happened that day, and it was way too soon to be doing a punchline, but he would do it on Comedy Central, and it lasted, I don't know, it didn't even last a season, I don't think.
I'm sure. That's my favorite line from when a joke bombs. Too soon?
Too soon? Yeah, I was in Raleigh, and I went to somebody invited me to open mic night. I didn't want to go, but I wanted to go support him. And then they said, "Well, do you want to go up?" Sure, why not? And the Korean jetliner just crashed in San Francisco. It was a 777. It pulled up short of the runway and crashed.
Lucky sevens.
Yeah, so I said at the end of my set, I go, "How many pilots does it take to land a 777 in San Francisco at SFO?" They look at me. I go, "Apparently more than they got." And it was the evening of. And man, ooh, what, too soon? That's the benefit of a day job when you're doing comedies. You can just, say whatever you want. Not worried about the booker not asking you back.
Exactly. Oh, I missed.
So how goes the Funny Shrink University? Am I correct?
Good. It's getting a lot of traction. We're trying to get the website up, and then we're applying for CEUs, and I'm going to be sending out requests for people to do the actual presentations. And so it's coming along. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to a guy in Colorado. He's the executive director of NAMI in Grand Junction.
Yeah.
And he was thinking about having a comedy show. He had a comedy show last year, raised money, but the comics weren't mentally ill. You had neuronormal comics doing a comedy show for mental illness? He goes, that's why I'm calling you Fred. We realized that was a mistake. And then, of course, it was going to be in August, but, you know.
Right.
Man, listen, here's an idea. Put on a TEDx talk with a mental health theme and get a bunch of comics. You know, just get mentally ill comics to come in and do, you know, some of their material, but some of it based on their mental illness. And I go, it's a TEDx. You don't have to pay them. They got to fly themselves in, fly themselves back, but they get the TEDx big red letters behind them. Mm-hmm. Where am I going to find, you know, mentally ill comics? Trust me, I got a list. Yeah. So and apparently they already have several TEDx's in Grand Junction. So he's going to approach each one so he doesn't have to start from scratch.
Okay.
Go, hey, how about the next time we do this, we have a mental health theme, we bring in comics, a dozen comics with mental illness to raise money for NAMI. So, of course, you're on my list.
Sweet. Are you booking this?
I would be. Yeah. I'd be booking it if he does it because he wants. If you go, where am I going to find those comics? I'd book you and Hafsa and a couple other people that I know who have mental illness and do stand up.
Awesome. I would love it. I would totally be down for that.
Yep. So anyway, he's going to pitch it to the TEDx's that are already there for next year. Obviously, when people start doing it in person again.
Nice.
But
I'm also like preparing for an America's Got Talent submission, so we'll see. My plate is always full. I took a week off, and you know what it was like to do absolutely nothing?
What?
In the middle of the week, I felt lazy. I was like, I've got to do something. Like Thursday, I had a bunch of people talking me down, be like, you're on vacation. You just got married. Enjoy your time off.
Relax.
I can't relax. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah. No, I said no. So the website's coming along.
Right.
Okay.
And I can't wait to have you do your presentation on suicide. I bet you'll kill.
Oh, Suzanne.
Oh, that's terrible to tell you.
Great fun. I killed. That's a George Carlin bit. Comedy's a violent business. You either kill or you die.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine in Philadelphia, Joey Callahan, was doing a show, and somebody had a heart attack in the front row. And
oh my God.
Rachel Davis Santoro is listening. Rachel, hey, baby.
Who's Rachel?
I think she may be a Facebook friend of mine, I do believe. Finding it funny in everyday life is a no-brainer. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Could you read that to me? Because I didn't have my glasses because I lost them.
Mentally ill people gravitate toward comedy because in order to survive, we have to find the funny in the darkness. So finding the funny in everyday life is a no-brainer. And, I taught stand-up for mental health for a while. And you have to be mentally ill to get in it. And you have to be mentally ill to teach it. And I mean, they were the funniest comics, beginning comics. The stuff came out of their mouths. You didn't have to edit it. I said, Trish, what you got? She goes, my boyfriend wants to break up with me. I said, why? She goes, he wants to see other people. What'd you say to him? I'm bipolar. Give me a minute. That's just amazing writing. And that's the way it came out of her mouth.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Huffs and I do the suicide prevention punchline because so many comics and creative types die by suicide. So, does Jeanette have a practice? Is she still in the social work business?
Yeah, she sees. So she works with people with traumatic brain injuries. She has a type for two.
I see. Well, we know why she loves you.
Yes.
Oh man. I would say it's funny, but I don't know if that's yeah.
It's funny because it's true.
It is true. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, speaking of true, for submitting a story to our book on men's mental health, Guts, Grit, and the Grind.
I lost track of that submission, so I finally resubmitted everything they needed, and I'm just waiting to hear back.
Yeah, because the first 2 books in the 4-book series are published. We're working on book 3 right now.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah,
Ah.
my 12th grade English teacher would be amazed. Oh, it's actually the ebook is actually a bestseller on Amazon. My English teacher, 12th grade, would be like, "What? He co-wrote a book that's a bestseller."
I get that. My Spanish teacher, when I went to the top state school in New York for undergrad, and when I went back to the high school to see people, I was like a sophomore or junior,
Yeah.
and my Spanish teacher asked me where I was in school, and I told her, and she goes, how'd you get in that school?
Yeah.
But I'm a total class clown in her class. Like, I would bring in a whoopee cushion, I would set things off. Like, it was fun times.
Yeah, very funny, Mr. King. You know what? If you leave this school, that's not going to get you very far. Really.
And here you are with your TEDx.
5 of them, thank you. You probably don't know this, Mike. I've been picked 7 times. There were 2 of them I couldn't do because I had a conflict with a corporate gig.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Broke my heart. Oh, man. I had to turn them down. Whew. But
I miss it. Like, we haven't done this in about a month. I miss talking to you, buddy.
Yeah. And by the way, for everybody listening, Mike really is a genuinely nice guy. I know it doesn't seem that way. It has nothing to do with his traumatic brain injury either. Just a nice.
Appreciate that. Do I come off as a dick? Is that
No. But I have told you that if I was wretchedly depressed and out on the ledge, I want a phone call from you. Because somebody who understands, somebody who gets it, somebody who's not going to, you need to take fish oil.
I try not to judge, and I try to meet everyone where they need to. I'm also in the place right now where I hate what I do because I've been doing it so long. I just want to do something different. Like, I want to either get back into comedy full time, teach full time, do something that isn't sitting listening to people tell me about their problems all day long.
And as I recall, looking at your phone, oh, he's calling again. Who's he? One of my clients. Gee.
Well, at least it's not again. Who's that? Jeanette, my wife.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. That would be bad. Does she enjoy what she does?
She does, for the most part. I think, when you work with people and their emotions, there's a high level of burnout.
Yes.
So, yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Rich wrote another comment. Why is it that statistics show that more men die by suicide, yet more women suffer with mental illness? I guess it's because men just can't hang in there. Oh, wait. Rachel, men aren't quitters. That's what.
Oh, God. Except meth and crack.
Women give up too easily. Men will see it through.
No, actually, the 3 times as many women attempt, you know this, Mike, than men. But men tend to complete because they use a gun. And 8 out of 10 people who die in the U.S. right now are men, and in part because of something called toxic masculinity. Because big boy, in the South especially, where I was raised, big boys don't cry, they don't share their emotions, they're not going to reach out for help. And that applies to physical help as well. I mean, I can't tell you how many friends I've lost who died of colon cancer, prostate cancer, because they never got never had a colonoscopy, never had a PSA test, because men don't do that. They tough it out. So that's why one of the reasons Mike's going to make a good speaker, because he's going to be up on stage as a man telling his story, being vulnerable, which is extremely powerful. Men just don't do that.
Exactly. It's hard. Men, that's the one thing I've noticed ever since I was young doing this is if it's just 2 men in a room, they get more real.
Yeah.
Than, than if a woman's around. Like there's something about a guy opening up to another guy that is helps.
Well, two things. I've got a friend who's in AA and he's in a stag club, which is just men for that reason. And they're women stag clubs for just women for the reverse. And yeah, they, you know, because and I've said this many times. If I was doing a room full of nuns, comedy show, I could be as blue as I wanted to be. You put one civilian in there who's going to be embarrassed for the nuns, and you got to clean it up. But if it's just me and nuns, you can just blow the roof off the place. You know, but civilians going to feel bad. You know, they can't believe you said it in front of nuns. So.
I was really worried last night performing in front of the parents because the wife was sitting there and I felt like she was judging everybody that went up there. And like Jeanette said, no, I wasn't worried about her. I was worried about the husband. He wasn't laughing at anyone.
Yeah.
One of my first lines when I went up there is like, "Oh, you're like the little audience that doesn't want to." You're good.
Nice twist.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm a professional.
That's true. Well, and you obviously are vulnerable, Mike. You cried at your own wedding, for goodness sakes.
And then my father made fun of me for the whole night. Like the Rolling Stones song came on, and he was going, "You made a grown man cry," pointing to my wife.
And Rachel, you wonder why men kill themselves more often? Because you really yeah. Well, you know that's the thing. You don't want to do it. You know, you want to be strong. That's what men do. They're strong, but yeah, it costs them their lives oftentimes.
It was great catching up, man. We're gonna get on a steady rotation with this again.
Well, see if I think Dennis has got availability. The gentleman who's the life coach for people who are dealing with substance abuse disorder.
Nice.
Very good. Anybody else I can think of? And I'll keep you posted about the potential TEDx in Grand Junction.
Cool. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Right. Great to see you. I'm gonna end the broadcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Rachel. Thanks for weighing in.
Thanks for coming.
Yep.